Let's find out about Christmas songs and let's look into this in more detail. And I'm joined by Choose 80s now.
Hi, I'm Sue. I work for Choose 80s. It's a website that we set up and social media about 10 years ago. And we love the 80s. So it's all about music, interviewing artists, going to the festivals, all the retro festivals, and doing reviews and interviews and all sort of latest news really to do with the 80s that we love.
Hi, and I'm Leigh. So I do all of this with Sue. We started it because, as Sue said, we're avid 80s fans, but we've been journalists for years and we've worked together for years. So we thought it was the best thing we could do was to join our two passions, and that's how Choose 80s was born.
I love that. You get to kind of do what you love as kind of your career and build up this sort of Choose 80s thing. But why was the 80s so special, do you think, first of all? It's quite a broad question. But
I think really because it was that age of the teenage years, and that's so exciting anyway. From the 80s, I was about sort of 12 onwards. So for me, I was really getting into the pop scene, really taking an interest in artists that I really got into. I was particularly into sort of the jam and the mod scene when I was about 14. All the songs related to that, but also just the vibrancy of the 80s. There were so many different genres that you could, listen to and enjoy, from new romantics to mods to, casuals. So there was something for everyone, really. It was so vibrant, such a good scene at the time.
I was born in 82, so I was kind of missed most of the 80s, but, definitely a great decade. Leigh, what was it for you about the 80s?
Yeah, I think as Sue said, there were so many different genres. I was a big Duran Duran fan, a different end of the scale to Sue. But it was also because it was so colourful, as you say, and people didn't take themselves too seriously as well. There were loads of novelty songs in the 80s, there were so many different types of music and so much fun that I think that's why, and songs of great quality, because if you look at the charts back then, you can take any of the charts, from 1980 to 1986, say, and all of the top 10, and it really stands the test of time. And as you go forward to now, I know we're older, but the songs don't seem to have the same quality. And a lot of the younger people do know all the songs from before because they have stood the test of time.
Back in the day, you had one platform, it was the top 40, and you would know exactly what was in those charts. They do have charts now, but back in the day, that was the main platform. And then you'd have Top of the Pops that seemed to be like a family gathering event. It was for the whole family would sort of watch it. Not that your mum and dad would be into sort of George Michael and Boy George and all that. They'd sort of make comments, what's he wearing and things like that. But they would secretly buy singles, not secretly, they would sometimes see songs more for their age group and actually go out and buy singles as well. So it was, in that time, you knew what was in the charts. It was shared by everybody and enjoyed by a wide range of ages.
Yes.
You'd go away and enjoy your own stuff as teenagers, but there was something, as you say, for everyone earlier about the family element of it. Now it's more fragmented. The youngsters are sort of finding their music on their platforms in Spotify and having their own playlists. It's more people are listening to music on their own now rather than sharing it.
Yes, so, rather than putting a record on and gathered around the record player, listen to it, sticking your headphones on seems to be the thing that you do these days, Leigh.
Yeah,
definitely. I've got 3 boys and they're all sitting there with their headphones on and I'm looking at something completely different. So we live in different worlds. It's really strange.
There's that less community feel now, I think.
And then you speak to somebody and they're like, have you heard the new song from some artist I've never heard of? But then you listen to the song, you'd be like, hang on, that's not a new song. That came out in the 80s.
Exactly. This happens a lot, John, in my household. I say, that's stolen from that song. And then I show my daughter the original song. And she said, actually, I prefer the original song, Mum. So it's happened a few times.
And the 80s very much back in fashion. I guess sort of went into the 90s and a lot of people maybe tried sort of put didn't really sort of see the 80s as fashionable. And then we started getting towards the end of the 90s, the 80s combinations, and it sort of evolved and became fashionable again, I guess, from that point.
Well, the 80s festivals have grown hugely. As you know, we go to lots of the 80s festivals, usually when COVID doesn't stop us. But they've just grown and grown, and we can't believe how many more have been created since the first lot of festivals started. Okay. It never seems to end. And it is so popular now, and the artists that are now getting the recognition again are now creating new songs for people because there's a hunger and an appetite to see what else they can do now that they're back on the scene.
If you were to pick one possible question, but one retro Christmas song, what would it be and why?
I think for me, it would be Wham's Last Christmas. Got the snow. The video was fantastic with the boys, you know, going skiing and the snow and everything. And it just evokes that whole Christmas spirit for me. And, you know, I was going to say George Michael's voice was like an angel, really. So I think for Christmas, his voice and that combination of a great tune, a great dance-along tune as well, and a real sort of Christmassy spirit. I think for me it's got to be Wham's Last Christmas.
Talk about Christmas, the late 70s, I suppose, and the sort of up to the mid 80s. We had that period where there was this like machine that was producing Christmas song after Christmas song, and they all became those instant classics that we just still know and love today.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think because I think that pressure was there to produce those every year because it was such a family event, you know, watching Top of the Pops at Christmas and watching it through the year. I think the acts had more pressure to produce something that was entertaining and enjoyed at this time of year, which is, as we say, it's sort of because it's more fragmented, you haven't got that sort of joint effort to make those singles, I don't think, now.
No.
And funnily enough, this year some of the heritage artists have actually started writing Christmas songs. So Lamar has got a Christmas song. Yeah. Owen Paul, Rick Astley, Kim Wilde, they're all creating Christmas songs. I don't know if that's something to do with COVID and the fact we've been in lockdown and they're sort of reminiscing of good times and things that make them feel happy, and maybe trying to recreate Christmases of long ago and are performing and creating their own Christmas songs now.
And I do think it's that nostalgic element that really makes a good Christmas song, though, because it's all those talk of mistletoe and wine and all those things. But I heard Robbie Williams has got one out, and it's sort of talking about hand sanitisers. And it didn't quite have that sort of nostalgic ring to it.
Not quite as romantic as mistletoe wine, you know. That's the time we live in.
No.
Christmas time, hand sanitizer and wine, yeah.
What and wine, yeah.
But you know, the likes of Cliff Richard, you know, they were literally on it with the Christmas songs. So many sort of big songs from that decade. I mean, why do you think? I mean, you mentioned sort of things more fragmented now, but why do you think now? I mean, today we get the odd song which becomes kind of a Christmas classic, I suppose, to some extent, but nowhere near what we had back in the day. So why do you think we sort of lost that magic in the Christmas charts?
I don't know. Maybe they've extinguished all of those wonderful elements of those nostalgic Christmases. You know, the wine, the mistletoe. Maybe there's only so far you can go to sort of focus on those before you sort of start repeating, and it sounds sort of quite repetitive. But those original ones will always stand the test of time.
Absolutely.
Maybe they need, I mean, obviously, as we've heard with Robbie Williams, he's got a new slant on it this year. I mean, the song, actually, the tune is good and everything, but I think we want to be reminded of something else when at Christmas rather than what's going on at the moment. This year has been so difficult.
and it is an interesting point, Leigh, about the nostalgia and the fact that people are trying to sort of go back to times when things were maybe happy. I mean, a lot of people have happy memories of the 80s. So Leigh, for you, what was an 80s Christmas like then? What would happen?
Oh, my 80s Christmas was with lots of cousins all fighting to get the first sitting at the dinner table. And I just remember my granddad used to have the big decorations that went across the ceiling, which aren't in fashion now, but they were the thing. So there were huge gold looping decorations. And then you also had paper chains, so you'd make them at school, you'd bring them home. It was really old school. Things like the selection boxes that were netting, like an actual stocking.
And had more chocolate in them as well. You get these days.
But and it was one real big party. It was just, fighting for seats and fighting for the dance floor in my nan's.
Happy memories and some of the Christmas classics playing out and, literally rocking around the Christmas tree and that sort of thing.
Sleighs was a big one for
lovely.
us.
And also the snow. We seem to have more snow then. I don't know where the snow's disappeared to, but in the 80s we had real heavy snow and I think one year, mid-December, it was really heavy. And that stands out for me because it made Christmas so magical on the run up to Christmas. And also, the toys at Christmas for me were so exciting. My dad used to sort of get the Hamleys catalogue. We used to look through and sort of pick off which ones we'd like.
It's just so sad that all these catalogues are now, the Argos catalogue is no more. They've got a Christmas catalogue this year, but, that sort of physical catalogue, it's easier online and everything. But so.
The other thing was the TV times. Going on from catalogues, the radio times, you used to sit there and used to ring what you were looking forward to watching. You go down to Christmas Day, you go to 2 days after. It was a major thing. But now, if you mention that to our children, they say, no, why? You watch it when you want to watch it. It's all on demand. You don't need a physical list. So
and
different.
Also, the Christmas TV was, fantastic. There'd be specials with Morecambe and Wise. You'd have a Bond movie that we loved. You'd watch that every Christmas and really look forward to it after dinner. Sit down and watch the TV. And there'd always be sort of really good TV on. And nowadays, unfortunately, I just find that we're seeing so many repeats of things and nothing original, funny and new, exciting.
Lots of channels, but nothing on.
No.
That's it. Back then, we had 3 or 4 channels, didn't we? That was all we had. And you knew that everyone around the country was watching the same thing. So we go back to that same community feel again.
If we want to find out more about Choose 80s, then Sue, how do we do that?
You can go onto our platforms on social media. So we're on Facebook at Choose 80s, also on Twitter and Instagram as well. So any of those platforms, if you sign on, please follow us. It's great to have more people and sharing all these great memories.
Yes.
Of our
We're also
80s.
on YouTube. So we've got our own YouTube channel, and then you can see lots of interviews that we've done with pop stars over the years and some DJs, and we have lots of fun.
Nice. There you go. Reminiscing and bringing back those happy memories. So, Sue, we had your favourite song for Christmas, Wham! Played that earlier on. What about you, though, Leigh? What would you go for as your all-time favourite Christmas song?
I'd have to say Slade then. Merry Christmas, everyone. It conjures up lots and lots of good memories for me. It's got a real party atmosphere, and it just shouts good times, I think.
Well, thank you both, and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Happy 2021, whatever that's going to look like.
Happy New Year to you, John. Lovely to talk to you.